But their land, located in parts of Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, Florida, and Tennessee, was valuable, and it grew to be more coveted as white settlers flooded the region. That's right. As our introduction of this video, I was explaining that, the Southeast is more agricultural friendly, all right? You could grow a lot of different type of, vegetation, because in certain parts of America, you can only grow certain vegetation, but like in the Southeast, you can grow all kind of vegetation, right? Many of these whites yearned to make their fortunes by growing cotton, and they did not care how civilized their native neighbors were. They wanted the land, and they would do almost anything to get it. They stole livestock, burned and looted houses and towns, and squatted on land that did not belong to them. See, that's the devil, man, all right? Fucking devils, coming over looking like straggly cavemen. When that means to squat, all right, to squat on other lands, that means you just elbow your way in, man. All right, I might have acres, and I look up, you got a pack of devils living on my land, all right? State governments joined in this effort to drive Native Americans out of the South. Several states passed laws limiting Native American sovereignty and rights and encroaching on their territory. In a few cases, such as Cherokee Nation 5, Georgia, 1831, and Worcester 5, Georgia, 1832, the U.S. Supreme Court objected to these practices and affirmed that Native nations were sovereign nations, in which the laws of Georgia and other states can have no force. Even so, the maltreatment continued, as President Andrew Jackson noted in 1832, if no one intended to enforce the Supreme Court's rulings, which he certainly did not, then the decisions would fall stillborn. Southern states were determined to take ownership of Indian lands and would go great lengths to secure this territory. All right. Andrew Jackson had long been an advocate of what he called Indian removal. As an Army general, he had spent years leading brutal campaigns against the Creeks in Georgia and Alabama, and the Seminoles in Florida, campaigns that resulted in the transfer of hundreds of thousands of acres of land from Indian nations to white farmers. Yeah, so you got the Seminole Indians, which is Reuben, all right, and you had these other Indians, which was Gad, all right? So basically, there was Reuben and Gad, which this devil, Andrew Jackson, basically signed, certain legislations to basically root out the Indians from their own land that was given to them, all right, by the Most High. They got to pay for that. All right, Alabama and the Seminoles in Florida campaigns that resulted in the transfer of hundreds of thousands of acres of land from Indian nations to white farmers. All right, so this devil set up a law to transfer the lands. All right. As president, he continued this crusade. In 1830, he signed the Indian Removal Act, which gave the federal government the power to exchange native-held land in the Cotton Kingdom east of the Mississippi for land to the west in the Indian colonization zone that the United States had acquired as part of the Louisiana Purchase. This Indian territory was located in present-day Oklahoma. The law required the government to negotiate removal treaties fairly, voluntarily, and peacefully. It did not permit the president or anyone else to coerce native nations into giving up their land. However, President Jackson and his government frequently ignored the letter of the law and forced Native Americans to vacate lands they had lived on for generations. In the winter of 1831, under threat of invasion by the U.S. Army, the Choctaw became the first nation to be expelled from its land altogether. They made the journey to Indian territory on foot, some bound in chains, and marched double file, one historian writes, and without any food, supplies, or other help from the government. That's right. So these devils not only took the land, but they didn't send them off with no horses, no food, all right? Thousands of people died along the way. It was one a Choctaw leader told an Alabama newspaper, a trail of tears and death. All right, so the devil's got to pay. This is Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. They turn aside the needy from judgment, to Salakia, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Yes, so the Lord say, woe to them that write unrighteous decrees, all right, and that write grievousness, all right, which they have prescribed. And that's what the native, all right, or the Indian Removal Act of the 1800s was indeed that very thing. It was a grievous act, all right. It was an unrighteous decree, man, to take the land of the natives. Verse 3, and what will ye do in the day of visitation? That's right, when the Most High gonna visit you for this, okay? And in the desolation which shall come from afar, all right, which is those nuclear missiles, because Most High gonna kill you motherfuckers, man. The scripture tell you, woe to them who build a town on blood, man. That's what America was built on, the blood of the Native American Indians, and as well as the Judites, all right? You Negroes who was brought over here into slavery. To whom will ye flee for help, and where will ye leave your glory? That's right. So you're not going to have a power to run to, all right? Because, you know, we, all right, contrary to popular belief, they think we got no father, all right? We do have a father, the Most High, all right? Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Well, you devils not going to have a father to run to in that day, man. See? So this thing is going to basically intensify as we move forward concerning Esau's fall, man. They got to pay for all these things we just read about. Not going to just ride away in the sunset, okay? It's the book of Genesis 49. And start at 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together that I might tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. So this basically Jacob bringing the 12 tribes together, all right, and letting them know what's going to happen in the last days, which we are in the last days, okay? All right. This is verse 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. All right? And that what happened. The troop that overcame us was these devils, all right? Spearheaded with Andrew Jackson, but the scriptures say, we, all right, the tribe of Gad, all right, we're going to overcome them in the end, man. All right? So you devils get ready for that. Right? So I hope this was edifying. Until the next time, Shalom.